December 29th, 2023. We have 2 more days of this year, and this year has been absolutely incredible, but also some of the worst times that we've experienced this year. I can happily say that this podcast that I've been doing for pretty consistently throughout 2023 has probably been a bright spot of 2023 amidst the darkness that we have all experienced throughout this year. So I'd just like to come on here and just appreciate everyone that has been on the podcast, everyone that's listened to the podcast, because it really means a lot to me because it's the one thing that kind of kept me grounded. Movies are the one thing that keeps me grounded, and I appreciate anyone that listens, shares, likes, rates us. So yeah, that means so much to us, and to me as well. And I look forward to doing more of these episodes in 2024, continuing to check off like all these wonderful movies that I probably should have watched already on the Letterboxd Top 250. We've done 10%. That's about 25 movies so far on the Letterboxd Top 250. We're taking a slow route to it, but I really like this route that we're going on this journey on the Letterboxd Top 250. The episode that you're about to hear is Your Name. And I had a wonderful talk with Maria, Watches Everything. Go follow her on all the social medias, TikTok specifically. She's really become a really close and good friend. And I just always go to her DMs and just we're in numerous group chats and we're just talking about movies. And we had a wonderful talk about just the last four that we watched, and the last four watch that you'll be hearing in this episode is actually pretty dated, but still movies and shows that you should probably check out and that will definitely help you get through the rest of this year and into next year as well. So definitely check out the last four watch from Maria and what I last four watched in the episode that you're about to hear. But yeah, this was a really great episode. I just want to just echo that numerous times just because Maria is just a wonderful human being, and it's a pleasure that she's been on this podcast 3 times now. Like, she was on the water cooler, then we talked about Ted Lasso, and then now Your Name. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this last episode of the Real Lovers podcast for 2023. Look forward to some best of content in January. We're going to be doing a top 10 list, one top 10 list, where Tyrone from the Circle Club and Megan's World is going to be coming on, and we're going to debate and just kind of like discuss like which films belong in this top 10, and it should be really fun. Not sure if that's going to be a live, but it's definitely going to be a really fun episode. So look forward to that. A bunch of best of content and some best of TV content as well. But without further ado, I'm done talking here. So enjoy this episode where we talked about the number 236 film on the Letterboxd Top 250, Your Name, from 2016. Enjoy the episode. We come to this feed for magic. We come to the Real Lovers podcast to laugh, to cry, to converse. Because we need that. All of us. That indescribable feeling we get when the music begins to fade. And we go somewhere we've never been before. Somehow, heartbreak feels good in a place like this. Our hosts feel like the best of all of us, and discussions feel perfect and powerful. Because here, they are the Real Lovers podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Real Lovers podcast. It's been a minute since we recorded, but we are still covering all of the movies in the Letterboxd Top 250, and today we are featuring the 2016 film Your Name. It's currently number 236 on the Letterboxd Top 250, and joining me to discuss this wonderful Japanese animation is Maria from Maria Watches Everything. Maria, how are you doing today? Welcome back to the Real Lovers podcast.
Thank you for having me again. I think I was here for Ted Lasso last time, so I was excited to talk about a movie. Also, impeccable intro. Loved it.
Thank you.
Very good.
Heartbreak feels good in a place like this,
Oh, it
Maria.
definitely does. AMC, member till I die.
Nicole Kidman, till it's
Hardcore
mother.
fan. Yeah.
I always love seeing the reaction to that intro from people because
It's new. It's new. I don't think I
Mhm.
remember when I did Ted Lasso, like in the spring, it wasn't there. So like this is new
Mhm.
and it's amazing. I loved it. I was like, oh, this is I recognized it instantly and I was like, this is amazing. So great job.
like you mentioned, you were last on the show when we talked about Ted Lasso, and that was like right like in the thick of like the writer's strike, and I don't think the actors were on strike at that point.
I think it was a little bit before because the series finale,
Mm-hmm.
I say series finale, but it was the series finale.
Yeah.
Because there's not been a new spin-off yet announced. I
Mm-hmm.
still have fingers crossed that Ted
Yeah.
Lasso will have a spin-off. But yeah, I think it was like springish time because that's when Ted Lasso ended. And the
Mm-hmm.
writer's strike was literally, I think it was about to happen or
Mm-hmm.
was announced. After strike, maybe a month after. Gosh, what
Yeah.
so much happened over the summer? Oh my god.
So much happened over the summer, but now both of the guilds are back to work. Like they all have tentative agreements, and
Finally.
yeah, finally. I just want to get your thoughts on just like the whole like strike and like just yeah. I know it's been a lot, but
Yeah, it was a long time coming. Like, I don't think we talked about this personally, but like, I feel like there's just been not just with COVID, but like with the streaming services, like every information I would find out about like how the streaming services kind of came about with their contracts. The fact that they didn't even like change the contract since like I think like 2012 or something. Like it
mm-hmm.
was ridiculous. So it was a long time coming. I'm really happy and very proud of them for like sticking to their guns, staying so strong. I'm proud of all of us for like not talking and like
Mm-hmm.
sticking to like not promoting anything. Because influencers and like social media accounts for movies do really have an impact on like revenues.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it was a long time coming. I'm really proud of everyone. I'm really happy for them. The fact that contracts are done. I know that there's still some stuff up in the air with AI and VFX, and like
Mm-hmm.
I also think with there's like a potential new strike coming up with VFX. I don't know yet, but like, so I know there's a long way to come still, but I'm really proud of everyone and all their hard work in staying so strong with their morals when it comes to having fair wages and like getting what is due. Because it's been a long time coming, and yeah, we could talk about that for hours.
Yeah, exactly. You put it absolutely perfectly, and like the one thing that I'll like end on that is just like I'm just glad to be talking about movies again because it was nice like watching a movie and not having to like comment on it.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of just it was a little bit freeing in a way where it's just like I can just like love movies for the sake of loving movies. I don't have to like broadcast like my thoughts like on the internet, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad to be back
Yeah,
and be talking about like
the chore of it went away, right? Like we could
mm-hmm.
just watch things.
Mm-hmm.
I'll admit, like I know so many people did like a rapid review of like the stuff they've been watching. I've still have to do a rapid review of everything I watched in between.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just so nice. Just I watched so much, Marley. I watched so much from like July till now, and I'm like, how did I watch so much? But I did, and I'm like, yeah, like, but it was also really weird not to talk about things. I would just like voice note into the void
Right.
because I couldn't talk about it.
Yeah, I think for me, group chats really helped me out, like through
Yeah.
all this, where I can just kind of like just voice record like in a group chat on Instagram and just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
have a conversation with people because that's what we're here for. But you said that you watched so many things during the strike, and I hate to say to bring nail just nail it down to like four, narrow it down to four.
Well,
But let's do your last four watched, like your
okay,
last.
let's do
Yeah.
my last watches. So
Mm-hmm.
okay. So I just started The Gilded Age
Mm-hmm.
with Cynthia Nixon. Amazing. I loved it. I literally just started it this week. I'm already on episode 5 of season 1. It's so freaking good. I'll admit I have rewatched the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes just this morning. I'm sorry.
It's okay. No shame.
I am so hyper fixated on Hunger Games lore right now. I cannot explain it. I can't stop thinking. I could do a whole dissertation about that, but I
Mm-hmm.
rewatched that. Fargo. Well, speaking of Ted Lasso,
Mm-hmm.
Juno Temple, Keely, Jones
Wait,
is in.
what?
Yeah,
Fargo season 5?
yeah. And so Keely Jones is in it.
Oh my god.
Juno Temple. That's why I started it because I'm like, I haven't seen Juno Temple do anything since Ted Lasso. So I'm like, when I saw that she was in it, I was like, let me watch it on a whim. I had not watched a single season of Fargo, but the nice thing about Fargo is the fact that like every season is like encapsulated storyline. So I can pick up from season 5, the first episode, and just start this new storyline. It is fantastic. It's so good.
I fell off Fargo like really season 1, and I watched a little bit of season 2.
Okay,
So
I haven't watched a single season, so I've heard. I don't know who was in season 1, but I'm sure it was probably great.
Yeah, it was really great. I own it on Blu-ray. I just like I really only watched it once, and I thought it was fine. I love the original movie, but it's just
I haven't seen the original movie.
I'll have to bring you back for that. I'll have to bring you back for that. Like, because I believe it's in the Letterboxd top 250. So.
No, that's why I feel really embarrassed admitting this. But so
don't feel embarrassed.
So this season 5 of Fargo has Juno Temple. It has Richa Murjani, who is from Never Have I Ever. She plays Kamala. She's the cousin of Davy. And it has Joe Carey. It has Lamar Morris from New Girl, Winston Bishop. It has John Hamm. And I think it's
so diverse.
Yes, yeah. And I was like, it literally has so many of my favorite people. Why am I not? So I just started watching it on a whim because I wanted to support anything that Juno Temple and Richa Murjani do. And I like it. I like it a lot. So now I want to rewatch season 1 through 4 and watch the movie because I'm assuming the show has to do with the movie.
Right? Yeah, I believe it's set in the world from to my knowledge. Like I don't think it's like directly connected except for like these are characters within like the Fargo universe. So like that makes sense how you could just pick up like from season 5 and like have like a good time. You don't have to have like all this backstory.
It gives me True Detective vibes. Because True Detective always is like the same format but different storylines. I guess it's cases in this case. I guess Fargo is a murder mystery, right?
Yeah, it's a murder mystery.
You like it, right? I'm not sure because again, I don't have anything to go off of. But like, it's a Midwestern, it's a murder mystery. I love it so far.
Right.
But, I don't know. It's been really fun. I've watched. I think 3 episodes have been out so far, so I've watched those 3, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll have to. I didn't know that she was in it. Like that's I'm glad that she's working like after like Ted Lasso because she was so good in that final season. Like
she's so talented. She's done a lot of things. Well, have you? I mean, we could do a whole podcast, but she's always been so talented. So like, I was so excited to see what she was going to do after Ted Lasso because I feel like she really built a name on like mature roles after Ted Lasso. So I was excited to see what she did next. So like as soon as I heard she was doing Fargo, and she's the main character of Fargo, so I was like, okay, good for her. She deserves it. Right. And it's I don't know. It's fun. It's funny. It's dark humor for sure. And murder mysteries are always fun. So
that's fun. That's really fun. Sense. Yeah, I love that. I'll have to check that one out. But
yeah, I hope you like it. Okay, so that's my third one. And I had so much to say about it. But the 4th show I've been watching, which is The Guilty Pleasure, because I secretly really love reality TV shows. I've been watching the Squid Games challenge. Sorry.
I'll let you go.
No.
Explain yourself.
I blame the internet. I blame the internet because I just put it on while I was like cooking like lunch. And then I'm like 6 episodes in, and I'm like invested in these people. I don't think I like the show, but I've watched all 9 episodes.
So it's pretty easy to binge.
Yeah, like... well, I don't know if you're a reality show watcher, but reality shows are really easy to binge, in my opinion.
Yeah, the only reality show that I've been watching like recently was I started watching that James Bond 007 Road to a Million. It's on Amazon Prime. It's basically kind of like the same concept of Squid Game, the challenge, where it's like it takes like an IP and kind of like bases it around that. But
I didn't know this existed. What?
yeah, it's basically just it's absolutely insane. Like 007 Road to a Million, because who's the guy from Succession? The older guy, the dad, Cox
Oh,
something.
Brian Cox?
Brian Cox. Brian
Yeah.
Cox is like the main host, not
Oh,
well, quote
what?
unquote host, where he
Why?
basically is just watching like all the contestants. They portray him like a Bond villain, which is so unique. I absolutely love.
Why have I never heard of this show? I'm so
It's
confused right
absolutely
now.
it's absolutely insane. Like it's like the production value I feel like is like like crazy. It's an Amazon Prime show, so
I
obviously
haven't
Daddy
even heard
Bezos
of this.
money.
But no, but this sounds actually like really good though.
It's really good. Like
Yeah,
I
it's a
like it a
really
lot.
high quality reality show, you know?
And if you're a fan of like James Bond, like
Of course.
you'll get a lot of the references as well. Like they're like
I
the
remember
crane
when you
sequence.
I think
The,
you rewatched all of James Bond, the whole entire series
mhm.
whenever the new movies came out. So like I'm sure you like really get the references, correct?
Yeah, I got the references. Like but the thing that I didn't thought was kind of weird is that some of the contestants didn't get the references. Like they never heard of James Bond, so it's like, why would you go on a James Bond
Yeah.
reality show and not know? It's
Yeah, that's very fair.
but yeah, sorry to hijack the whole Squid
No, no,
Game
no.
challenge,
I'm
but
glad we talked about reality shows. I would
mhm,
say Squid Games does not work as well, in my opinion.
mhm,
It feels like a Netflix cash grab, if you ask me.
mhm,
But I did watch all 9 episodes. So who am I to talk? But like, I think the actual Squid Games show was meant to talk about like horrifying experiences of class differences and like
mhm.
how deep the poverty extremity can go. And obviously the reality show completely misses that. So like, yeah, I don't think this reality show needed to exist. And yet I watched all 9 episodes. So
Yeah. It's like
who am
this is
I?
why this is kind of like the trap that I was afraid to fall in. Just
Yeah,
because I knew after watching I never finished the original Squid Game just
mhm,
because it was a lot.
it's
Like
hard. A
that
lot.
show is like a lot to like take in.
Mhm.
And I feel like the people that were demanding for this to be like an actual like show, like like tell me you didn't understand Squid Game without telling me you didn't understand Squid Game. Where it's
Yeah.
like,
And I think you probably remember like it became like a trend on social media and stuff too. Like no, I feel like it's really great that Squid Games was so successful, but like I
mhm,
really feel like people missed the message because of how popular it got, how trendy it got to
mhm,
the point that it made a reality show.
right, and
Yeah.
I don't know, and it just kind of like rubs me the wrong way a little bit, but
It's
it is
very
good.
icky.
Like at least are the contestants, are they like entertaining? Like because that's kind of like the
I don't want to say the word entertaining because that makes
well,
it look worse.
yeah that's
I
mhm,
So, okay, there's two things that I've recognized that Squid Games tries to do in comparison to the real show, which is like they want to set it up like everyone is in it for themselves.
mhm.
And then, but then they also, you know how in, wait, so how far did you get in Squid Games? I don't want to ruin it. Well, I don't know if I'm going to ruin anything, but like,
I you can well
so
probably don't
you know how
spoil
they
it for
got
the
into the
listeners, but
backstory of every contestant as the show went on?
mhm,
So they do a confessional with every character, which I like to call it the Game of Thrones method, which is like get you invested into the side characters
mhm,
as you go, right? So they do that well, but I don't think Squid Games could work well as a reality show. Like this idea that like you're in it for yourself, but then you have like these tests. That's how Squid Games likes to say it. But it's basically just like a survival level of like voting out, essentially. Like so I'm very happy that the finalists, two of them seem to be very like sweet, kind-hearted people. So like I think that's why I kept watching because I'm just like at least a few of them seem to have morals.
mhm.
And I want to be honest with you, a lot of them don't. A lot of them are very easy, very eager to like bite people in the ass. Like I don't know if you've seen clips on TikTok, but like there are a lot of terrible people on this show.
The only clips that I've seen is the contestant 65. I don't
Oh
even know
my
his
god.
name. It's Unhinged.
You don't need to
Unhinged
know
in
his
so many.
name. You do not need to know his name. I hate this because like there's a lot of women of color, unfortunately, that everyone's like, oh, they're the real villain of the show. And I'm like, no. He was the villain of the show. Don't
Yeah.
get it twisted. There was that man, and there was another guy who like literally was so ableist. There's a deaf character who literally signs the whole time. And I just was like, if I get the money, I want to like represent my deaf community and help. He's just like, why didn't you ever teach me sign language? And it's like, what? Where does that come from? He's like, are you doing the sympathy vote? I'm like, no, she's literally deaf. And just
Oh
be
no.
herself. He's the villain. why are we picking on the poor women of color here? I don't know. But 65 and that man, I feel a lot of hatred towards because they literally have so much microaggression. It just came out of nowhere.
So basically, watch Squid Game: The Challenge when you're making a sandwich, right?
Yeah, no, I very big fan of watching it when you're doing other household chores.
Mm-hmm.
Not if you have to pay attention. If you want to pay attention, watch Fargo. For sure.
Or 007 Road to a Million.
Yeah, or Gilded Age. Gilded Age is actually really fun and fantastic, and we want to support Cynthia Nixon these days.
So. I haven't seen a single episode of The Gilded Age, and I've heard so many good things. And
I was actually very pleasantly surprised by it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'll definitely put that on my watch list. But like another thing is, please don't leave this chat, Maria. But
okay.
Hunger Games. I've only seen the first movie, and I'm not really the biggest fan of.
Oh, that's fine. You have to watch Catching Fire, then you'll be a fan.
Oh, really? Is that when is that your favorite?
Oh, that's the best one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, okay. Because you just wait. What was the last 4 things you watched? Because then we'll talk.
Okay. Well, the reason. Thank you for asking, Maria.
Yeah, of course.
Because the whole reason why I never really got into Hunger Games all that much is because by the time it was coming out, I was kind of YA'd out.
Yeah.
Like there was so much coming out.
Same.
And I was a huge Harry Potter fan, which the first thing from my last 4 watch, I started rewatching all the Harry Potter movies because I do that right around this time of year because it's the holiday month. So I've rewatched Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the best movie in the entire franchise.
Hands down. That's my favorite book and my favorite movie.
Yes. I don't. I guess I'll say I love the book. We just won't mention who wrote it because.
Oh yeah, no, yeah,
yeah.
So that is why I asked because I knew you were rewatching it because as a Harry Potter lover and like I know you read the books as well. That's why I appreciated Hunger Games because I'm like as a book lover, I'm reading the Hunger Games books as my adult age now. I'm like, wow, this is actually better world building than Harry Potter. You have to read it.
I'm gonna have to read it. I'm gonna have to read it.
And I think it's because like I feel a lot of feelings of she who should not be mentioned.
Yeah, but, she who must not be named.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like Harry Potter obviously is a candle in itself because especially for us who grew up loving these books. So like that's why I appreciate Hunger Games. I guess it's also because like whenever I was younger, I needed a magical world. But I think as I get older, I need a dystopian world to like, not to get political, but like make me feel like there's some sort of answer to like what's going on in the world these days. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because like, when you're younger, you want an escape, but as an adult, you also want an escape. But like you want an escape in a sense that like actually mirrors what your reality really is more.
You need it to be grounded.
Exactly.
And a grounded escape.
And Hunger Games to me is that grounded escape compared to Harry Potter. You know?
Yeah, I totally respect that, and I like that outlook where you change through like when you're watching movies or reading books, you change like throughout your life, and like I like that approach as well, where you kind of like look for the more grounded stuff to like find answers for like our actual lives. I don't know. For some reason, I'm still like I still kind of have to escape the hell
Very fair.
the hell
Very,
that we're
very
living
fair.
in. But
Yeah. No,
I would
Hunger
go ahead.
Games is too real. It's very
Hmm.
real, so it's very fair. But I will say, Catching Fire is just a very good movie.
Hmm.
As a movie lover, I will say that.
Okay.
That's a,
All right. I'll add that to my watch list. But
yeah,
yeah, Harry
yeah.
Potter and the
I would highly recommend Catching Fire by itself. Don't watch Mockingjay.
no, okay, both of them,
Don't watch.
both
No,
parts.
they're not good. But watch Catching Fire for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, like I feel like when I watch that in the theaters and I rewatch it like I mentioned like every single year. When I first saw it in the theaters, this is like kind of like the first time I saw Alfonso Cuarón kind of on the big screen,
Oh
and
yeah.
the way like my eyes kind of lit up and I'd be like, this is movies. Like this
Yeah.
man made cinema. Like the
Yeah.
first two are fine with Christopher Columbus, but they feel very kiddie, and the way like they grew up so fast with Prisoner of Azkaban, like I was like it. I'm in awe of everything, and even like watching it now, like the shrieking shack scene, like
Mhm.
with all like four of like the greatest actors of all time.
Yeah.
You have Gary Oldman, uh, the guy who plays
Alan
Professor
Rickman.
Lupin,
Yeah.
Alan
Oh
Rickman. Just
yeah, Professor Lupin. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, like that. Like I wouldn't. I can't even imagine what Daniel Radcliffe was going through at that moment. Just like being around like these talented actors at that
Mhm.
point. But
Yeah.
I love Prisoner of
I
Azkaban.
think Gary
So
Oldman was such a good Sirius Black. Like I'm so happy that they casted him as Sirius Black.
hmm
Like as a fan of him as a child watching him, I was like, this guy's great. But then as an adult seeing his like body of work, I'm like, they really, really did him justice. Because Sirius Black is one of my favorite characters, right? So like,
yeah,
so good. I'm so happy Gary Oldman was Sirius Black.
yeah. I
but
love
also,
Sirius Black,
but also
but
Lupin, because Lupin's body of work, oh gosh, I'm blanking on his name as well, but like his body of work is amazing as well. So it's like
mhm.
they casted them all well, and Alan Rickman, rest in peace, did a great job as well. So
Yeah, I still have to take a step back whenever like people say Alan Rickman rest in peace, because I feel like he's still with us. He was
I
gone taken so
know
soon, and I'm just like,
very soon.
yeah, and
It's been
I
it was
mhm,
too soon. It was way too soon. Like it was a while ago, right? And this time with like Love Actually too, Alan Rickman's like work just comes out. Like oh,
mhm.
it's a very Alan Rickman season.
Very Alan Rickman season. But
Mhm.
you mentioned like how it's very difficult to watch or consume like Harry Potter, especially with She Who Must Not Be Named. Uh,
I will say that like I think for me is that I love Harry Potter fans. I don't like the creator of it.
mhm.
Because for me, the person that built the world was the fans.
Yes, I totally agree with you, which
Yeah.
leads into the next thing that I watched. If you are not a fan of the person that created like Harry Potter, I'm sure you'll be a fan of the stunt double
Yeah.
for Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah.
I watched for the first time David Holmes, The Boy Who Lived. For anyone that doesn't know, like David Holmes was the stunt double for Daniel Radcliffe, and he did all of his stunts from the first movie up until the seventh movie, and like when he suffered a tragic accident. Like
Mm.
when he basically they show like what happened where he had a harness like around him and
Oh,
basically got pulled all the way back, and he is now paralyzed like from like the waist down, and like
that's so sad.
it's so sad. But the like what I love most about like David Holmes and like this whole story is that Daniel Radcliffe executive produced it, and he basically Daniel Radcliffe like he wanted to make sure that everyone knew who David Holmes was, and I have so much respect for Daniel Radcliffe after this, because like not a lot of people know like who stunt doubles are, like what the stuntmen
Yeah.
actually have to go through, and
And
like
in general, I love that Daniel Radcliffe always uses his like fame to counteract any issues that came
mhm,
around with Harry Potter. Like not just with this. I didn't know this until this moment, but like
mhm,
with She Who Must Not Be Named says stances, he did a talk where he led a conversation with trans teenagers of America, I believe.
Mhm.
And like he just was there just to let them have the conversation. And it was like I don't know. I like it makes me so happy. Like it makes me so
Yes.
happy to see him do so well. Like he's just such an amazing guy.
Yes.
That's our Harry Potter, man. That's our Harry Potter.
He is actually Harry Potter at this point.
He
Harry
really is.
Potter, like I know he doesn't like kind of like he wants to do other things after that, but he like deep down inside he'll never like leave that character, and
Yeah.
that's what.
Well, one of the things I watched on my strike, watch list
Mhm.
was Miracle Workers, which is all Daniel Radcliffe. He's
Mhm.
so good in it. I highly recommend Miracle Workers if you haven't seen it. It's so fun.
I'll have to
So
add,
fun. Yeah.
I'll have to add that to my watch list,
Yeah.
but
If you like The Good Place, you will love season 1.
okay. Well, you know me, I love The Good
Yeah,
Place.
I
So.
know. And then once you love season 1, you're gonna watch season 2 and then 4. And there's only 4 seasons.
Mhm.
And sorry. Main just like complete deviation, but
No,
like
it's fine.
yeah,
I love
so
this.
Miracle Workers is like every season is also an encapsulated storyline. So season 1 is the Good Place type vibe of like these people that are working with God, trying to help people on earth. They're not angels, but they're not God. They're like the in between, trying to like make miracles happen. That's why it's called Miracle Workers. Season 2 is the medieval age. Season 3 is like the Midwest. I don't know, back in the 80s. I don't really care about that season that much. But season 4 is a Mad Max episode, like season. And with Furiosa season, like the trailer that just came out with Anya Taylor-Joy and like Chris Hemsworth, I was like, yeah, it's such a vibe. So
I love that. I haven't seen the trailer yet for Furiosa yet. It's
well, I know you're not a trailer watcher, but
yeah. I watch trailers every now and then, but this is the one where I'm just kind of like, I want to like go in fresh with this.
fair, very fair.
Yeah.
I always love Mad Max, like
Mhm.
the genre of the season. Like I don't know, there's something about that vibe, right? So like,
Yes.
yeah. So
Mad Max Fury Road. I believe I saw 5 times in the
yeah,
cinema.
I think I rewatched it. Oh, I rewatched it yesterday, actually. I watched the trailer for Heroes and I'm like, I'm rewatching Mad Max Heroes.
It's so
Got me
good.
so hyped. So it was so exciting. So they
Right.
do a whole season dedicated to that. And it's in my opinion, my like second favorite compared to season 1. So yeah.
Right. But yeah, David Holmes, The Boy Who Lived, is definitely a fantastic documentary. I gave it 4 stars on
Okay.
Letterboxd, and
Oh wow.
the only thing that I kind of had an issue with is that they kind of like paint like Warner Brothers as like the studio that stepped in and like helped him along with his treatment, and like I'm not really the biggest fan of Warner Brothers just because like the way they treat some of like their actors and like their creators, just kind of like writing off movies that are already done at this point. And like we
Oh,
can have a whole podcast about that.
very
But
fair.
like, I know for a fact that stunt people aren't treated with the respect that they deserve, and I wish that the movie kind of like dived a little bit deeper into that. But I do understand like Daniel Radcliffe was trying to highlight David Holmes, who is just a wonderful human being, and I feel
Mhm.
like the documentary did a really good job of that. But you can watch David Holmes, The Boy Who Lived, on Max, the one to watch for HBO. So
Perfect.
yeah, but that was a really great watch. If you're a fan of Harry Potter, I really love that, and you can I highly recommend that. But and then I also saw I reactivated Netflix recently. I canceled it during the strike just because I
Mhm.
didn't feel good about giving money to this huge media conglomerate. So I reactivated Netflix with ads, $6.99 a month, because saving some
I
money.
don't think I had ads.
Yeah, but
Okay, good to know.
but the first show that I watched was Blue Eye Samurai. I'm 2
Oh,
episodes
I've
in.
heard really good about it. I've heard really good things about it.
It's a beautiful show, beautiful animated
Really?
show,
Okay.
and it's giving me Kill Bill mixed with Mulan, because you
Oh,
kind of have a gender bending like hero like hiding like their true
okay.
identity,
Uh-huh.
and I'm only 2 episodes in, so I'm not like fully into the story just yet. But all I have to say is like this show is absolutely beautiful. Like it's beautifully animated and just
Uh-huh.
absolutely stunning, and just I'm loving Blue Eye Samurai. But you
Okay.
have you watched or?
I've heard good things about it. It's actually on my watch list. I keep like clicking like so I'm watching Scott Pilgrim versus the World too
Mhm.
on the side, because
Yeah,
love that IP.
yeah.
So and then obviously the animation that keeps coming up and I'm like, oh, I need to watch it. So like it's on my mental list of watching. But the thing
Mhm.
is, like, I think I've heard a handful of reviews, but no one I trust. So I actually don't know what it's about.
Well, it's about it like 2 episodes in. It's about like this one that it's basically like a Kill Bill story where it's
Oh,
basically about like
okay,
this one character just kind of like setting out for revenge, and that's basically
cool.
kind of like all that I know is like so far.
Uh-huh.
But like it's super violent. It's very violent, like on the Kill
That
Bill
I actually
standards.
didn't expect that, so that's actually really good to know. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know why I didn't think it'd be violent, but I didn't expect for anime shows you never expect them to be violent. So
yeah, but I highly recommend you just check out like the first couple episodes, because like the
okay.
first 2 episodes are like are really great. But I'm looking forward to diving more into it. The reason why I haven't binged it is because Netflix hasn't proven to me that I like should I fit like I don't want to binge it all the way and then they'll cancel it. So it's like
Fair, very fair.
Netflix needs to prove to me that they'll pick this up for a season 2.
And
And
knowing Netflix, you never know.
yeah, you never know. You never know. But
Yeah,
but
it's sadly very unpredictable with Netflix.
very very
Hmm.
very predictable for Netflix. But Blue
Hmm.
Eye Samurai is really great. Everyone should go check that out.
Okay.
And then the last thing that I watched, it's kind of predictable for me, but I watched Taika Waititi's Tyler's
Oh,
father.
okay, okay, okay. Yeah.
Next Goal Wins. I saw that.
Well, how was it?
Next Goal Wins. I know there's been a lot of people hating on it just because everyone's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, Taika's all jokey," and like, and I'm just like, people need to
That's his,
chill.
but that's
They
his
need to
vibe.
chill.
Like, that's his brand. I don't know why people hate on him making jokes. Like, have you seen his body of work? I don't understand that. Like, his
I don't
body of work
understand it
is literally
either, but
comedy.
Next Goal Wins is really great. It's about the
Yeah.
American Samoan soccer team. I'm not sure if
Mhm.
you know much about like when that team went up against Australia and
Mhm.
they lost 31-0.
Oh shoot.
And it's basically about that team and the Michael Fassbender character coming in to kind of like to basically teach them like soccer and have them score one goal. Like that's all that they want. They don't want to win anything. They just want to score one goal.
Yeah, that's so
And
sweet.
it's very sweet and
Yeah.
very like it's very Taika Waititi. Like if
Yeah.
you're not like a fan of Taika Waititi, then you probably shouldn't be watching this. I
Yeah.
think it's very
Yep.
uplifting and like it highlights Samoan people in a
Mhm.
very like good light. Like you have trans characters, like just like having like main like storylines and
Mhm.
being represented like on a good level, and
And
it's
I will say that about like Taika Waititi is like because one of the shows that I watched during the strike was Reservation Dogs, the
mhm,
newest season, and like I cried so much during the season. Like Taika Waititi will always do his best whenever it comes to Indigenous representation. So like
mhm.
I I think I'm a firm believer that like you can be two things at once. Like duality is so it's so prevalent in humanity. So like Taika Waititi will always lift up Indigenous voices. So please watch these projects for Indigenous representation, for Samoan representation, because it's so vital in our day and time.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I just like seeing like all these different Samoan people just because most
Mhm.
Americans don't really know much about like
Exactly.
Samoans. Usually they just know The Rock. Like that's it. It's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Very well,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
assuming,
yeah. Yeah.
but I think
No,
my
no, it's
assumptions are
very
probably right.
fair because
So,
like I mean, unfortunately, like who else could they name? I couldn't probably even name someone off the top of my head, unfortunately, like
I can name some football players, but
yeah, I was gonna say I
not off the top of my
could
head. But
yeah, I could literally I'm literally thinking of the Reservation Dogs cast, but that was also
mhm,
Taika Waititi. So,
right.
like, so it's like it's not the same compared to like what mainstream Hollywood is doing on their own, like he's doing a lot for that representation. I really appreciate it.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, Next Goal Wins is fantastic. The only thing that I kind of had an issue with is Michael Fassbender. I'm not
Oh, really?
like, yeah, just because one, I'm not really the biggest fan of him. To be honest, I think
Oh,
he's a little bit cringy, and I I feel like the character that he was playing, he didn't really understand what Taika was like asking him to do,
oh,
and it just kind of bothered me. I wanted to see more, like, not to go back to Ted Lasso. I wanted to see like a
yeah.
Roy Kent, like, because
Oh,
the coach in Next Goal
yeah.
Wins gave me Roy Kent vibes, and I wanted to
Okay.
see who's that actor's name? Like, shoot, Brett Goldstein. I
Yeah,
wanted to
Black
see
Wilson,
Brett
yeah.
Goldstein like so bad, like in
Wait,
Next
so
Goal Wins.
I have to ask because I love Michael Fassbender.
Hmm.
Um, but so what gives you cringy? Like, what gives you cringy vibes about him?
I don't know. I guess I never really forgave him for Assassin's Creed, like with
Oh,
that, and
okay.
just
Assassin's Creed was
it's
no,
not
that
cringy.
wasn't his
It's
fault.
just
That wasn't his fault. Let's blame him. I guess it's because his portrayal of Magneto that like will always let me forgive him. But
mhm.
Assassin's Creed was not his fault. That was a production credit like issue.
True, true, true.
Yeah.
I just I don't know. Ever since Assassin's Creed, I haven't really seen anything like that. Kind of like
He has a new movie Killer, which I really want to see.
that's on Netflix, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I want to see that as well, just because
Yeah.
that's
It looks really
David
good.
Fincher. David
Yeah,
Fincher.
exactly. Exactly. Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's still on my watch list. But
Same.
well, that was our last four watched. Let us know in the comments down below what you've been watching. And Maria, I know we just spent 40 minutes talking about our last four watches, but we could talk about movies all day.
Mhm.
This is what we do.
Mhm.
Shall we get into our review
Yeah.
for
Oh
Your
my god, I'm
Name?
so excited to talk about your day.
Let's get into our review.
A star fell. It was almost
Like seeing something out of a dream. Nothing more or less
than a breathtaking view.
At last, hello, you've opened your eyes. But why won't you even look
Let's
me
hit the
in
cafe
eyes?
later.
What's wrong with
Thanks,
me?
but I gotta go to work.
That was a clip from the 2016 film Your Name, directed by Makoto Shinkai. It is the number. It is 236 on the Letterboxd Top 250. I'm just gonna read a synopsis here from IMDb. Two teenagers share a profound magical connection upon discovering they are swapping bodies. Things manage to become even more complicated when the boy and the girl decide to meet. Maria, this is your first watch along with my first watch. I just have to get your initial reaction to Your Name.
Okay,
What are your thoughts?
so the reason why I picked this movie was because I heard so many good things, and it's been on my watch list for like since 2016 probably. So
Mhm,
I'm just like, I have to watch it. This will give me an excuse to watch it. And like, I think I forgot what it was about because I think when I first heard about it in 2016, I knew that they switched bodies.
mhm.
But I literally went into it blind and was so freaking invested. Oh my god. I cried, I laughed, I giggled and kicked my little feet and twirled my little hair. Like I think I what I loved about this and the reason I'm so happy to talk about this was like it had all the tropes but subverted the tropes at the same time. It had very cute and relatable characters. Like I adore this movie. I love this movie. It lives
Mhm,
up to the hype. I completely understand why it has the acclaim of the letterbox like ranking because
mhm,
it's good and everything. I remember the reason why I wanted to watch this about it because in 2016 everyone was like, you have to watch this movie because it will take you by surprise. And I will admit, I constantly was taken by surprise. Like every beat of this movie, every climax, I was like, oh my god, oh my! Like I was just on the edge of my seat every single half hour to every 20 minutes.
Yeah, I absolutely adore this movie as well.
Mhm.
Shocker, shocker.
Oh my god, we were
Like
agreeing? No,
just,
what? I
just
never
some
thought that.
just some letterbox stats. Like it right now it's averaging a 4.2 average here on letterbox,
Yeah.
and that, like I mentioned, it is the 236th film. I believe it should be higher. should be higher than
Yeah,
that. Like it's
I want to know what the other films are because I'm like, this was great. What are the movies that compare to this? You know,
I think what I love most about this, not like we can talk for hours about how beautiful like this film looks. I
Yeah.
love like the pastel look to it, but also it has like this 3D look as well. Maria, I have to ask you, like, what is your kind of like before watching this? What was your kind of like previous like knowledge for like anime, like Japanese animation?
Oh, okay. So oh my god, this is actually such a good question because like I literally just started watching anime not just a few months ago because of the actor strike. I had to start like expanding my like media. So I finally watched One Piece and I finally watched Attack on Titan. Yeah, like but literally besides Sailor Moon when I was a child, but Sailor Moon and Avatar, I don't know if those think they qualify as anime. I mean,
it's anime.
It's anime,
yeah.
But like, so I watched Sailor Moon as a child, and I'm a hardcore Sailor Moon lover. But like, as an adult, it took me literally up until my first introduction was literally August for like anime. So as an anime watcher for the first time, I was just like, wow, this is so cool. And I really wanted to get, and like, unfortunately, I have to get into this like Studio Ghibli stuff. Like I've watched Spirited Away, but that's it.
You need to watch Kiki's Delivery Service.
I do need to watch Kiki's. So like, I feel like I've
watched... Which is also in the Letterboxd top 250.
Ooh, so really? Okay, yeah. So and Spirited Away is beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's very well done. But like I'm very much like just tiptoed my like toe into anime and literally just recently. So like I liked it for that sense because I'm just like, oh my god, this is like Attack on Titan.
I feel like this is a perfect movie to just kind of dip your toes into like anime, just because the characters there's not very many characters, unlike One Piece. One Piece they keep adding characters. It's like there's over 1,000.
One Piece is wild.
Yeah. I started watching that during the strike as well, and I'm slowly going through it.
It's 1,000 episodes, so like we might as well, right?
Right. Yeah. But what I love most about like Your Name is that I love like how charming like these characters are and how like we talked about like how we like the older we get, we like seeing like media that is grounded and as opposed to being an escape. Like this is kind of like a perfect example of that.
Yes.
I love like I love a body swap like story as well.
Me, I knew that actually about you, Marley. This was actually fun to find out.
Well, yeah, Community had a body swap episode with Troy and Abed.
And that's one of those like seasons that we don't talk about, and that was a great episode.
That was a really great episode. But I love body swap. Like
and I totally forgot they body swapped until I watched it, and I was like, oh, it's a body swap. Because all I remembered was it was a romance story. That's all I remembered about it. So whenever they body swapped, I was like, it's a body swap. I love body swaps. I love Freaky Friday-esque body swaps, anything, always.
And this is kind of like it's Freaky Friday meets Deep Impact. Like for sure, where it's like
mixing a little bit of the Lake House.
Yes. Totally.
I got Lake House vibes hardcore. I'm like, Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves are giving me energy right now.
Yeah, I love these characters so much. I love I love the girl character. I'm really bad with names, but I love just like her ambition to just like wanting to go to the city, and then you also have
I love Tommy.
Yeah, I love him too, just because.
And I love his friends. They were so sweet. She like went on the trip with him. Oh,
it's just like another thing that like I love is that it's very kind of like indicative of like what parasocial relationships are like, where the way they body swap, it's not like Freaky Friday where they body swap at the beginning and then at the end like we learned so much. The way they body swap in Your Name is that it's so random. They don't know like when they're going to go back to their own bodies. True. And I feel like that adds to them learning more about who these people are and who like they live totally different lives, and I feel like I can gush about this like all day long. But
what I really loved about it was that I didn't know which direction
mhm.
it would go in. Like, so I think the way it worked out was that because I felt I wanted to look up the girl's name. I don't want to mess it up with the um Attack on Titan name, but it's very similar to it because it's
Hold on.
Taki and Mikase.
Yeah, Mikashe. Hold on.
Yeah,
Sorry. We are so bad at our jobs.
Mikashe.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to get it wrong either. I was gonna ask. I should have asked you originally. Yeah. So Mikashe. So I thought like, okay, we're gonna follow her story because we see her first, and then we see her have these like memory gaps according to her friends, right? Like, oh, you didn't know where you sat yesterday and stuff. So I was like, okay. I assumed it was going to be all through her perspective. So I loved how well the storyline was able to like split POVs throughout the story. Like to the point that like that's why I rewatched it twice because I'm just like it went back and forth so effortlessly of like who the POV was that like and then he engulfed you in it because the POV of Mikase versus Taki, then you saw Mikase as Taki, but also you saw Mikase and Mikase when Taki took over and like her reacting to that. So like I thought that was so effortless. Like you don't really see that in body swaps as much, you know? Also
just like the subtle like when you can tell like when it's her, like she has her hair up. Because the guy doesn't know how to put like the hair up and
a little montage where they go back. Oh god, I love that montage. That was so cute.
It's like this movie like is adorable. I had a smile on my face like the entire time.
And like
up until
the tears. Go ahead.
Well, I had a smile on my face up until the twist in this movie.
Yeah,
like when we find out like when it's Mitsuha?
Yeah.
Mitsuha. When Mitsuha doesn't body swap with Taki, and Taki is wondering where she is, and then they find out that this comet basically wiped out like their entire village, and I'm just like, well, this movie got really
so
deep.
dark.
Really dark, like real fast.
Quickly. And it got really trippy too in between, you know, with the sake in between. I was like, what is going on? Like it took me a minute. So for a second too, I think maybe this is also because it came out in 2016. So like I had to like channel, but like I think like I was following up until like his date with Miss Akasode, I think it was. Because you know the girl that he was interested in his like actual life. So then and she was crying, and I was just like, "Oh my god, what's going on?" Like and then like they like jump to how she goes to Tokyo. Oh, like I don't know. It just the way they like were able to like make the story flow and then have these like psychological effects of like time travel in between, but it was still flowing. I don't know. It was so great because like we were all kind of stuck on that date that they all three wanted to be on, you know? And then they were traveling and like Taki was like trying to find this girl. I don't know. It was just so cute and heartfelt. Like I
love stories like kind of going back to like the whole body swap thing. Like what I mentioned is that Freaky Friday, like they swap bodies at the beginning and at the end, like they swap bodies back. Like I feel like what I mentioned, I feel like what adds to it is the randomness to everything, where it's like they'll swap bodies back, but they don't actually remember anything. So the thing that I loved, like what this director like added to this is that you have like these characters like leaving like notes and like stuff in their calendar, like to remind themselves of like what they actually did. I thought that was so charming, and also like this movie is so of its time as well, because like I don't think you could have like a story like this where people are leaving like this is totally like a millennial and Gen Z story. I think
very fair. And like I really loved like, so that's like the halfway point before like the twist and climax happens, right? Like they're both basically trying to understand that they switch bodies. And like that in itself is like a lot. You know, like that, like switching bodies, and then they both keep doing things. I love that little montage of them doing things. Like he's making her more popular and like being really good at basketball, and she's like getting him in with this girl that she thinks he likes. You know, like it's so cute. And then they write each other notes. I love that they try to set up rules, and then they immediately broke them. Like it was very cute. Like they're like, "Oh my god, this is happening. Let's set up rules." And he's like, "Don't spend my money." She's like, "You're eating it. Calm down."
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I love like when they first switch, and because we talked about how Matush. I'm butchering that.
No,
I'm butchering her name so bad, but like she has like these aspirations of like going to the city and like living her dreams. It's kind of like a very Lady Bird like esque story where she has bigger aspirations than living in like this small town where she feels like she's trapped. Then she gets the opportunity to body swap with this like into someone else that's living in like the big city, and she's seeing like these big tall skyscrapers like of that she haven't seen before, and just seeing like that awe in well, it's his eyes at this point because she swapped with with the guy, but just seeing like that awe like in their eyes, you could immediately tell like it was her, and just seeing like those subtle like cues really kind of like brought it home for me.
And I love that like they're friends, and they're like, for example, with Mikatsu, like her grandmother saw it, like she could tell who it was just by looking at her. And I love that because like it also goes to the deeper like kind of like themes of how like Eastern cultures are about our families, and how entwined we are with understanding that like our family members can just recognize us even if we're not ourselves. And even with Taki, like his friends were just like, whenever the girl, I love this because like it's like, oh, the girl was just like, "You're more feminine these days," or like, "You're a little frantic, but it's cute." Like, even the guys were like, "She's cute," like he's cute these days. Like they could just tell when things were off, and it's just like I love that because it's like your friends and family know you, but they know when you're off, and I love that there was like a subtle theme of like their environment even recognizing that something is up, even though it was like something that was crazy that could be up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like even like I love that you brought up like the scene like where it's like even like when Taki was just like when he was swapped, and like he started having like these more like feminine like tendencies, and people are like, people are like, "Oh, this is so much nicer," because actual Taki is kind of like insufferable in a way where it's like he's just kind of abrasive. Like I love like his coworkers. I love that his
nonverbal almost.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I love that his coworkers are like, "Well, you're actually easier to work with." Like it's like, "We like you more this way." It's like it's I don't know. I loved all those aspects, but
and I think like Mikatsu got like more confident because of like Taki whenever he was in her body. You know what I mean? Like obviously like the groping I wasn't a huge fan of. I was like,
I wasn't. It's kind of gross because it is anime, and we all know that.
Yeah,
like,
and it was 2016, so I'm like, fine.
We all know that, like, not trying to call out any Japanese like animators, but you are horny. You're horny. The jiggle physics.
And 2016 was a very different time in that sense. I love that they at least said that she was just like, "You're a pervert."
Yes.
I love that. As soon as she like recognized it, she's like, "You are gross," and I'm like, "Yes, thank you."
Well,
more than we would have done in American media.
Not necessarily to defend him. I'm not trying to defend him in either way. But if I were to swap with someone else, I feel like the first thing that I'm doing is like, I'm like, what I'm sorry. That sounds bad. That sounds bad.
I think when it comes to the movie, like if he did it once, I'd be like, fine.
Yes.
Fine. I'll give that to the curiosity of a teenage boy. why
But he
did
kept
you
doing it.
every single time? Yeah. I was like, this is getting like excessive. Like even when he was just like, I shouldn't do it. Then he did it.
Right.
that was like my only thing. I'm just like, why even say, you know what I mean? Like I'm just like, it's they're going out of their way to make it.
Well,
It-
she did it once, but she only did it once.
Once.
Like,
That's what I mean, once. It's different
I
with
think that
one.
says a lot of things about like
exactly.
what.
I think like anytime a body swap that happens between a boy and a girl, like for example, Hot Chick, they did it.
Mm-hmm.
They also did it in there's another one. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. It was on the tip of my tongue. But like Hot Chick, they did it with Rachel McAdams and Rob Schneider. Like they
Mhm.
switched bodies, they did it. And I'm like, fine. The novelty of like switching bodies happens. You do the whole like body searching, exploring thing.
You look down the pants. It's like you go through all the motions.
Yeah, you
Not
go
trying to be crude or anything like
no, it's just like they kept up with it, especially with him. And I get that like it was again 2016, it was a different time. Like we're not
Mhm.
as like we were the media was definitely not as like careful about that stuff at that time.
Mhm.
So but like I'm just happy that they called him out. Like I'm love that Mikatsu was just like the first thing she said when they met was like, "You're a pervert. You touched me a lot and I didn't like it." And he was just like, "Oh, once." She's like, "It doesn't matter."
Right.
You did it. And I was like, I appreciate
You
that.
think I forgot. You think I forgot, but I remembered.
Yeah.
Like I remember everything.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I thought their like love story, I guess with two teenagers made sense, you know?
Mhm.
Like two teenagers finding themselves in a body swap, boy and girl, like, you know,
Mhm.
that's what they would do. But then for them to recognize, like, I mean, she even came to see him in Tokyo. I thought that was so cute. That got me so much. That's when I started crying. I'm like, she came to see him 3 years ago. That's so sweet. And he didn't recognize her. Oh, that killed me.
You're talking about the very end of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
that ending shot. I might be out of pocket for kind of like referencing this. I thought that the ending shot reminded me a lot of the Past Lives shot.
So I haven't seen the past lives. I know. I need to watch it. I know.
It's not a spoiler.
No,
I
I
won't.
won't mind spoilers because movies, I will still get the most out of movies even if I get
Okay, but I'm just saying I got a lot of I got major vibes from like the whole like they haven't seen each other in like so many years and they still remembered each other, and I'm just like it's heartbreaking. And even like I didn't mention like I'll put a little thing like before the review, like the major spoilers, but the whole like when he's coming back to find her and like and going through like all the motions, they're time traveling, super crazy stuff happening.
Yeah, we
And
need
when-
to talk about that. That's why I rewatched it because I'm like, I need to like kind of piece that up again because I love time traveling stuff, but like I need to get in. I get really scientific with the time
Yes.
traveling, so like we need to talk about that for sure.
Yeah, like the whole like because when he finds out about like the whole comet that wiped out like their like entire village, and he is heartbroken. Taki is heartbroken that his like I don't think he knows that like this is just a friend at this point. It's not a soulmate. Like he loved her. He loved like he loved this girl. Like not like in a creepy way. Like, in some ways maybe a creepy way, but
Sorry, I don't mean to say he's creepy. I just feel like the movie was creepy. Like I don't
Yes.
think Taki's creepy. I think the movie was creepy for adding it every time. You know,
Yes.
like yeah. But Taki intentions were sweet.
And this is kind of like it goes into like my like kind of like why this kind of like mirrors like the whole parasocial relationships where we experience each other in like short bursts, and then like when someone is like offline or not like posting or anything like that, then we wondering where they are. Like that this is what Taki like he was like I was so used to like seeing you well, quote unquote seeing you like every single day, and she wasn't around. And we wonder like these people that like make us feel like these emotions, we wonder like where they are. And it's just like I love like that aspect of it, like the whole parasocial relationships of like of these two characters. I love it.
Yeah, I really appreciate your parasocial like analogy because I definitely thought of it as just like a time travel thing. Like I guess like I thought like the tropes of like, oh no, now we're not time traveling or we're not switching bodies. What does this mean? And like, so I didn't even think of it as deep as like, oh no, they're off the grid. What is like? Then we want to invest more, especially because like that date had just happened with the other girl that like Minasaki had like set up for Taki. And it's just like you like someone. So I was just like, oh, I just assumed that he recognized that he had feelings and then like he was going after her. But yeah, you're right. It's very much like, oh, we hear from you every day. Now we're not hearing from you. So like what does this mean? I don't know. I think like at this point, I just assumed that it had to do more with them trying to better each other's life. And then like I will be honest with you, the love story like came up very organically and unexpectedly for me. So for him to search, and I agree, like he was just like, oh my god, I also thought like he was just so invested in their family. Like he had built a relationship with the sister and the grandmother at the same time, especially when they stopped. He just had the dream whenever they go, and the grandmother recognized like, oh, you're dreaming.
That's like it's young love. That's young love right there, where it's like I love romances like this, and I don't really get like emotional or like or make a bunch of like giggly noises, but this movie I totally like felt that the entire time. Like they're cute together, so it's
they
like
really are. And then like the whole like wanting to find each other. Oh, very young romance for sure.
And like kind of like when they do like find each other and they're like on top of like after like the aftermath and they well they're holding hands like and they like pass over they pass over and they're like, oh, let me write on your hand so I can remember your name, and she holds the pen and the pen drops and he is devastated. But what I love about the callback for that, like later on, when she opens like her hand, and it says "I love you." Like I was crying. I was bawling at that point, like absolutely bawling.
There's so many. I think like so. What gets me is that whenever he remembers the mountains, and he's at that shop where they're getting ramen, and like. So whenever we watched it, I watched it from that point on because I wanted to see who those like people were because I thought that they would be her two friends. I cannot remember their names. Who are their two friends? Her like, I thought it was those two friends. And I'm just like, oh my god! But then we see them at the end, so I'm like, okay, so it's not her two friends. But like, I just assumed I'm like, okay, so and then like you see. Oh my god, whenever he drinks a sake and he sees her life and the like her father, her mother, like everything, like it's just and then you see like the playback. Like I think like that's what got me too, was just like it wasn't just like their so I cried in their emotion, like their moments of meeting, but like what got me all like welled up was the fact that they were searching and they were learning about each other and like trying to help each other grow and like mend these like problems between each other. Like when Taki was just like, had I been Mikasi, like maybe I could have talked to my dad and like saved these people. I was dying in that moment.
It's what true body swap movies actually do. It's walking a mile in someone else's shoes, and this movie like does that by like 1,000. It does it successfully. Like
and it recognizes the value of being the other person. And what I love about this movie is like it recognizes that other people will recognize when you body swap. And I don't think many body swap movies do that. Like body swap movies always act as if they can't tell when the body swap happens. But this movie was the first one that could tell when the body swap happens. Like everyone around you. And I was like, I don't know. That
something's
really
up.
Me. And that really got to me because like I think I don't know if this has to do with the Asian culture or like Eastern cultures and like community-based cultures, but like it brings like it fortifies those themes of like the people that love you will know you even if when you're not yourself technically, you know. And does that theme is like like I felt it so much and like it just added like another layer and I think this is one of my favorite body swap movies for that reason.
Exactly. We talked we talked a lot about this. Do you have like any specific scenes you that you want to just shout out before we
I
start wrapping up?
I
Or
have to talk about when the grandmother recognizes that every time the grandmother recognizes that it's not
Mhm.
Mikasa. I don't know. There's just something about it. Like I love whenever like his Taki's friends recognize that it's not him, but like with the grandmother was just like you're dreaming. I don't know. There's something about that. I mean, also, oh my god, the whole like him drinking the sake scene, and he has this out of body experience where he lives her life.
Mhm.
Cinema,
Cinema.
cinema,
Mhm.
truly like beautiful. The ending. Sorry. The ending was so mean. I was like, no. Why did you end right now? But like, oh, there's so many beautiful scenes in the beginning too. Like, I don't know. There's a lot.
Yeah, there's so like I definitely want to rewatch like there's a lot of like hard things to like watch in this, especially like when it gets to I just don't like stuff like that, like when like an entire like village
Yeah,
just
that was a
gets
lot.
that was a lot.
Hard to see. Yeah.
And but I I can see this as a rewatch just because like these characters are just so like solid and so relatable and
Really
just like
lovable.
yeah uh, I know we've repeated this multiple times, but we love this movie. Like this
Yeah,
is
very much
yeah,
so.
but yeah. Um, but any more like final thoughts
I
on your
love
name?
that I love that it had all the tropes. Like I love that it had the body swap trope, but it also had like a time travel trope of love. It
Mhm.
also had like the city boy and like village girl trope. As like a romance lover, I loved how many like romance tropes it decided to tackle, and it was really
Mhm.
cute. And like and then I love like the added layer of like even body swap where they recognize I don't know. I just this is what I said. Like I love that they did tropes, but they also subverted them because they had people recognize, like, oh, you're in love with someone else. Oh, that's impossible. What do you mean time travel? And then they also I really like that they didn't like get focused in on the whole time traveling. Like they just let the time traveling be a thing of it, but they didn't get so much into the science of it. But it still like didn't
Mhm.
ruin the movie. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
sometimes time travel can get so nitpicky, and like as a time travel lover, like I just appreciated that time travel just existed in a way that it kind of made sense, that it was just like kind of something that happened.
It just like I it kind of explain. Now this is going to be a little bit of a like um a flip, but the way it kind of dealt with time travel is a little bit how Barbie dealt with like traveling
Yeah,
to the human world, where
yeah,
there's like it just happens. It just happens. Like there's no need to explain it.
yeah.
It just happens this way. So
And I think that works because like I think that there's like a balance between like explaining it too much and getting too scientific versus explaining it enough that you're like the suspension of disbelief works.
mhm.
And I
Yes.
think, like for example, Barbie did that very well, and this
Mhm.
movie did that very well. And I appreciate all these like genres within this movie that it works so well, and like so added a layer and commentary to these tropes that I've known and loved for so long.
I totally agree with you. But my final thoughts is like I've said this multiple times. I love this movie. I love like the music. The music
Yeah,
is really
yeah.
well done. And like a little fun fact too, what I read like before we started recording this is like the main guy that did like the music, like the vocals. Like I'm not sure if you watched like the dubbed or subbed version of Your Name. I forgot to ask that, but
Oh, I watched the dub version.
well, like the guy that did the music, he did both. Like
Oh,
normally it's like
cool.
because he's bilingual because and
Oh, nice. Okay, perfect. I'm happy to hear that because I know that like the dub version always takes away, so I'm happy to hear that for sure.
well I the audience will know that I did play the dub version like for the trailer. You'll be able to hear that, and I don't think it's like that bad.
Okay,
I watched the sub version just because I don't know why I'm always like
no, I usually watch the sub version, but I think this was my first time. I was just like, let me get
mhm.
the sub version. So
It's a personal preference. I know there's a lot of people out there on the
I
internet
watched
that's
Squid
like
Game subbed, so like
I
going back to full circle. So.
right, exactly. But dub or sub, live your life how you want to live. So don't let anyone.
One love. We appreciate it all.
Yeah, exactly. But that your name is perfect. I gave it 5 stars on Letterboxd. Like it might actually be in my 4 faves. Wink.
Very fair.
But
Very fair.
I don't know. I haven't decided yet. There's another movie in my 4 faves I don't want to replace.
We'll talk about that afterwards for sure.
Yeah, we'll talk about it afterwards.
Yeah.
But Maria, this has been a lovely conversation. I know we can talk about like this all day, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. But where can the lovely people, if they want to hear more of your wonderful like talk about movies and TV and just media, politics, where can people find you online?
So TikTok is always the best way to do it, but I'm on Instagram and Twitter as well. But TikTok, it's Mario Watches Everything, just like my name says. And I do mostly television shows, but I do dabble in movies and like overthink. And yeah, follow me on Mario Watches Everything. I am watching The Gilded Age. I'm doing a big deep dive on the Hunger Games lately. So my content will be very the Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes oriented. But I am going to, I started talking about Fargo recently, and I started talking about Squid Games, and I'm going to be talking about like a lot of the old shows that I watched. So One Piece live action is definitely one of them. Attack on Titan, I've done content about that as well as like so much that came out over.
Yeah.
And then obviously my favorites like Bob's Burgers, Community,
your staples. Your staples.
My staples are always stapling.
Yeah. But yeah, everyone should go follow Maria everywhere. All the links will be posted in the description box down below. Maria's a great time. Follow her, and you can follow me if you enjoyed anything that I had to say. Hopefully you did. At Marley Loves Film on Instagram, TikTok, Threads. I'm threading now. Like that's a thing. I'm not on that other social media platform that has a weird name now. I'm not.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about it. It's kind of like Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno. But yeah, if you enjoy like me talking about movies, follow me on all those platforms at Marley Loves Film. You can listen to this podcast or watch this podcast anywhere where you listen to podcasts. And if you if you made it this far, give us a rate and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That really helps us out. And if you want to go the extra mile on that, we have a Patreon now. You can subscribe to this Patreon for only $1 and get access to bonus footage, extra episodes, and our community Discord server. And but without further ado, Maria, should we shuffle the Letterboxd Top 250 and see what we're watching next week?
Sure, for sure.
The next movie we're going to be watching on the Letterboxd Top 250 series is Hayao Miyazaki's Howl's Moving Castle.
No way!
Yeah.
What? How perfect! That's so perfect!
Yeah, it's so perfect. I did not plan that out. I literally just shuffled it right now for anyone. Well, that's out of focus, but but yeah. Tune in. Yeah. Tune into the next episode where we're talking Howl's Moving Castle. I'm really excited to rewatch that movie. But yeah, Maria, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
I love your soul.
Yeah.
I love your soul. I love everything about you. Yeah. But we have to go for the Real Lovers podcast. My name is Marley Silverbrand.
And I'm Maria. Watches everything.
And keep watching movies. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.